ये है आपका अपना सब रंग 94.7 FM।
जी सब रंग रेडियो 94.7 FM ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਲਿਸਨਰਸ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਜੀ। ਮੈਂ ਰਜੇਸ਼। ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਹ ਐਮਪੀ ਮਾਈਕਲ ਚੌਂਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੁਰਖੀਆਂ 'ਚ ਨੇ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੋ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਬਿੱਲ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ 'ਚ। ਮੈਂ ਰਜੇਸ਼ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਥੀ ਨੇ ਜੀ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਦਵਿੰਦਰ ਤੂਰ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਕਬੂਲ ਕਰਨੀ
ਜੀ। ਤੇ ਤੂਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਪਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਐਮਪੀ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਬਿੱਲ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਬਿੱਲ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰੀਏ। ਸੋ ਮਾਈਕਲ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਸਬਰੰਗ ਰੇਡੀਓ।
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ ਫॉर ਹੈਵਿੰਗ ਮੀ ਜੈਜ਼।
So thank you, and I have my friend Davinder also with me.
Hello Davinder.
So Michael, tell us something about your private members bill first of all, because it's going to be a really very good changes will happen, what I believe, because after this bill, if it will come into action, then we can see a real democratic thing in the Canadian history of the parliament. So tell us something about this bill.
What this bill will do is strengthen the role of your local member of parliament to represent you in Ottawa. Over the last 40 years, the role of the local member of parliament has been changed because of rule changes that have been brought into place. And what that has done is it has made it more difficult for your local MP to represent your views on Parliament Hill. So what my bill proposes to do is to restore our parliamentary system of government to where it was 3-4 decades ago. And it does so by providing 3 simple reforms. First, it proposes to restore local control over party nominations. In other words, it removes the right of the central party, it removes the right of the party leader to veto a nominated party candidate, and ensures that only local control, only local riding associations, local members of local political parties can make that decision. The second thing it does is it strengthens caucus's role, party caucus's role, in party caucus membership and in the election of caucus chairs. Currently, the decision about whether a member of parliament sits inside a party caucus is the leader's decision. And if the leader decides to kick you out of caucus or expel you from caucus, that's a power the leader has. My bill would propose that the only way you could expel a member from a party caucus is by a secret ballot vote by the majority of those caucus members. So that makes sure that members of parliament who don't always agree with their party leadership can stand up for their constituents while at the same time ensuring that they remain members of that party caucus. The third thing the bill does is it allows caucus, it defines more clearly the role that caucus plays in reviewing the parliamentary party leader. Currently, unlike the United Kingdom or Australia or New Zealand or many other parliamentary democracies around the world, it's not clear how the leader is accountable to caucus. And so what my bill proposes to do is to put in place the same kind of leadership review mechanism in Canada that we currently have in places like Britain, Australia, and New Zealand. So those are the 3 reforms that my bill proposes. Local control over party nominations, strengthening caucuses as decision-making bodies, and finally, reinforcing the confidence that party caucus leaders must have in their caucus.
Yes, Davinder is having...
Oh yeah, Mr. Chong, when you talk about the local control, I think in other terms you can say you want to give more power to the local CAs on boards. But end of the day, after the election, when we elect the member parliament, the person who controls the local board is the local MP who is controlled by the party leadership. So how you are going to convince the MPs, like the present MPs, to lose the control over their board other than going to the AGM and calling it again? Because what the bill does is it makes it impossible for the central party or for the party leader to interfere with the riding association or its board. It makes it clear that the only way a candidate can be nominated for a party is through a vote at the Electoral District Association. It does not allow the party leader to interfere in any way in the nomination of a party candidate.
How big the problem is, like in terms of the nominations, the riding we present, like the Calgary East, I think when it comes to mine membership or something, I think it does represent the most membership that people can buy in this riding. It was a big riding, but now it is going to be divided into 3 ridings. But we are hearing the rumors that party leader is going to select, firstly, it will be like an interview process, and in interview process, some people will be disqualified just in the interview for some reason, and when the nomination will have, you think there is a problem that party leader do interfere to sign the nomination papers?
Yes, I think it's a big problem, and there are countless examples in the last 10, 20 years of party leaders disallowing candidates that had been selected by the nomination, in a nomination by the local CA. The other point to make is that many other candidates don't present themselves as a candidate for nomination because they've been told that the leader will not sign their nomination papers. So this is a very big power that we have given to Canadian political party leaders. And it's a fairly recent phenomenon. This change in law came about in 1970. Prior to 1970, it was strictly up to local riding associations, local CAs, to determine who the party candidate would be in an election. My proposal is to return our system to the way it was prior to 1970 and the way the system is in any other Western democracy.
And the third reason you're saying is that the 15% of your caucus, right, can decide to the fate of the leader. Like basically, if you're part of a governing party, basically next morning we might have a new prime minister. That's what it does mean.
What it means is that yes, that party caucuses can review the party leader. That power exists already today in the Canadian Parliament. However, it's a power that is not written down, and because it's not written down on paper, it is vague and opaque, and many people are uncertain about how to use that power and what the rules and processes are. My bill would simply take what is currently an unwritten constitutional convention in Canada and put it down on paper so it's clear to everybody what the rules are and what the process is.
And when it comes to picking 15%, it's a two-part of question. Why is 15%? And the second part is, it did happen in Australia. I think majority of democracies didn't like it. How you feel about it?
Well, the 15% rule is simply the rule that says that if you want to have a vote to review the chair of caucus, to review the membership of a caucus member, or to review the leader of a caucus, you require, in order to trigger the vote, you need to have 15% of the members of caucus sign a letter requesting a vote. If at that next meeting of caucus, more than 50% of the members present vote vote in favor of a new chair or a new leader or caucus expulsion, that's when those events take place. It's not until the majority of caucus members vote that way does the action take place. Why is it based on that rule? It's the rule presently in place in other Westminster parliaments like the United Kingdom. And the important thing to note is that in those systems, they are just as stable in their governments as we are here in Canada. There is no difference between the length of time between leadership changes, the length of time between changes in government, or the length of time between elections under those rules than is the case here in Canada.
Yes, so Michael, it's really good you are explaining a lot of good things, and my friend Devinder is also very well knowledgeable regarding the political system all over the world, and it's all over the world right now. This news is happening, like Michael is bringing such a big change. He's trying to bring a private member bill. So my question is, like, I am a EDA in our northeast riding. So you said EDA will be having the extra strength. What kind of extra strength will be EDA getting with your bill?
They would be getting the power to make the final decision about a party candidate. No longer will the central party or the party leader be able to override the wishes of the local EDA, local CA.
That's very good, sir. Yes.
And some people are saying the timing to bring the bill. The people who don't like it, they're saying is the reason you're bringing it here because of the Senate scandal, and you believe that your leader is kind of vulnerable to have a part leadership review or anything, but you guys just have a convention. I think he had a good support. But how you will raise the support, because you look at the Liberals, you look at the NDPs, you look at your own party, I don't think any leader will like it. Did you have any kind of impression from your leaders that he will support this?
Well, it's early days. The text of the bill just got released today, but I'm optimistic that the bill will receive support. I think the important thing to note is that the Prime Minister has my confidence to continue with the mandate Canadians gave the Conservatives in the 2011 election. And this bill is not about my party leader or about any of the current leaders in the House of Commons. In fact, this bill is not even about this Parliament. It's about future parliaments and how those future parliaments will function. I think Canadians realize that there are problems in our system, that those problems have been long-standing and are not the result of any one leader, and they expect us to work together to fix these problems, and that's exactly what my bill does. The other important thing to note is that the bill will not come into force until after the next election. So it doesn't affect the ability of any of the current party leaders to manage things as they always have. It doesn't affect their powers before or during the next election. It comes into force after the next election, precisely to make it clear to everyone that it's not about any of the current leaders in the House of Commons.
When you say it will be after the next election, so which is in 2015, and your party hasn't started the nomination process yet, why not for this nomination?
Because I didn't want anybody to accuse me of affecting the power of my current party leader or of any of the other party leaders. So that's why I had it come into effect after the next election. The other reason is that these are foundational changes to our system that will strengthen the role of members of Parliament to represent their constituents. And the best point of time at which to bring these kind of big changes in is right after an election, so that there's no disruption to the functioning of Parliament.
So, Michael, tell us something about where is this bill right now standing? Like private members are very difficult to pass as a law. So, how much you are sure about this bill?
Well, it's not coming up for a first vote until late in the spring, and I've got a number of months to convince my colleagues to vote for it. But I believe strongly that it is with the support of Canadians like you, who speak out in favor of the bill, who urge their local representatives to vote for it. I believe it is with that support, along with convincing my colleagues to support it, that we have a chance at passing this bill and having it become law.